El Dorado of the people until there's no illusion left. To leave the remote village, I drop pebbles every 100 feet, so the way back would not be forgotten. Little room on the wrong side of the railroad tracks, alone night and day, once held my words sweetly and securely as Olga Ivanskaya caressed Boris Pasternak. Or Lisa and I hold each other. Those days poetry is freed. On the road cut through the desert, a peculiar set of headlights follows me. Counterculture. Shut off the heater and listen. Turn off the washer dryer and listen. Sell the dishwasher and listen. Unplug the refrigerator and listen. Step away from the laptop and listen. Slide your iPhone on airplane mode and listen. Open a window and listen. Close your eyes and listen. Let thoughts pass like clouds and listen. Breathe and listen. Hear the whir of hummingbird wings. Hear the throbbing ocean. Hear the secret breeze. Hear the crickets in the night. Hear a dog. Hear the pulse of your own blood. Scatter the dust of me at bottom of the stairs in the village vanguard. Winthrop Street. I woke from a dream when my finger got pinched by a closing door, and boxes on the beach were floating on the sand like dirty water. No one saw us in our little frame home. Empty out your pockets, Richard, Mom always said to my friend before he left our house. Then she waited kindly as he handed over a plastic army man, keychain without keys, or a few coins from our loose trains drawer. What have you. Blue peace. The dead are buried on either side of the fence, its rows of barbed wire separating bones, surnames of Mendias and Pineda and Serrano, Chavez, etc., from bones of Newton, Allen, Poole, Gibbons, McGuire, etc. Get the picture. On these grounds, there's a blue peace. Wreaths of wilting roses and daffodils and carnations and larkspur tremble in the wind. And underground, the skeletal remains mingle with black dirt until everything here is earth, then life risen from the grave. A fire ant scuttles over my toes, the white flake of dinner in its mouth. And to it there is no blue peace. It has never noticed the blue mountains. A yellow butterfly crosses over the fence as if the barbed wire, the pig iron underneath, the posts were a mirage. White blimp low on the western horizon. To the east, the Chinati Mountains are calling out, blue turning gold. In the open-air chapel, bees buzz round a rotten wooden cross. Over the concrete altar, white and peeling, a Jesus nailed on the cross, rusted brown. Spill my ashes round these ones that before stripped in death were brown-skinned. At my dying, let this Grossman join them in blue peace. What to not do. Nothing is a river where something awakens. And all those who've never known nothing call you a slacker. So you try to do something until doing so reveals meaninglessness. Nothing is a river where something awakens. And those who've actually known nothing imagine something better out of this disgrace. Nothing is a river where something awakens. And those who've arrived at doing nothing change everything by turning water into fire. Oh yes, my brother, for Martin, my son. My boy stumbled through light and darkness I sent him into, for it was all I knew, to find his own light in darkness. There seems nothing else for fathers and sons. I listen to what he says, must be heard now, A sister speaking truth to power bends rage into justice like a master ironsmith. Not waiting for enough information or even a plan, action in love where darkness lights a fire is our godly smelter. Hammered from iron of impure alloy, I shed tears of joy over Martin, a man now, lighting my darkness with his good way that echoes more than somewhat of his old man's. One way to enlist for duty in World War III. When you want to kill the bogeyman, head seaside, no matter how far away, then sit with the crashing waves until you again turn beautiful and small. If you can find your enemy, take him with you by the act of pilgrimage in his presence, both soaring above whitecaps like the hawks, not the wingless militias and armies, fingers twitching at triggers or depressing a red button. Perhaps why a poet? I do not love at all that well, grasping a sunflower by the stem to wave it into hellfire and be surprised each time it never burns. Auden is her name, in memory of my mother, Clarice Grossman. A vine winds forever through me, surfacing in roots of the big weeping willow I climbed onto our roof, at other times snapping off twigs, to be switched when my smart mouth needed a little quieting. From wispy pink thistles of mimosa and the bulbs she planted in winter on her knees, with me by her side on my knees, that flowered into begonias, chrysanthemum, and marigolds in spring. Wild honeysuckle covering our fence like a shock of Medusa's hair, where I plucked white blooms and suckled sweet nectar from their stems. Its runner goes underground. In between the heat, 1. There are no pictures of what happened. Only my words remain. The heat will not be photographed, turning up the flame. A man-child soldier of no more than 18 years trains his AK-47 on school children hiding their fears. Or has the checkpoint turned normal each morning and afternoon looking down a barrel? They chat and snicker and shuffle along like your children and mine, let out of school from SUVs. Ours will be fine. Here are metal detectors and turnstiles approached through cages with concertina wire on top, a full detail ready to pounce should a child not stop when told to stop. We stand in old Hebron, pilgrims for peace, an artist, a pastor, a writer, a nun, where the ancient graves must groan. At the Ibrahimi Mosque, where Abraham and Sarah returned to dust, we keep close watch on the heat, as love in every holy book tells us we must. A young boy is detained and his backpack searched, held long enough to be late for school. The writer takes notes for a report to the abyss, wondering whether he's playing the fool. Wake up, Zionist America, Christian and Jew, take heed. It is better to alter your religion and know these are evil deeds. 2. Passing through comes a man poor and in his prime. The man-child soldier flashes a gun and culls the human grime. 4 more men spill out of the hellish wire cage, are corralled beside the other one, Israeli and Arab eyes identical in rage. All proud in their macho poise, though one side has guns. We've got to help them, says Rosie the nun. We are, by being here, I mutter to myself, The heat shuttles the man up mosque steps out of sight, and my words fall off a cliff. In a holy place, men are disappeared to prison. The people perish where there is no vision. Elwyn, the pastor, walks toward a thick-necked officer to ask about the men, for what charges could possibly be proffered. I go with him, the writer beside the pastor, while the artist and the nun pray, God help them. The commander's eyes are taking aim at the two of us as he hitches his AK-47, so there's no mistaking the sash across his bust. The heat sucks air from the air, an explosive ready to light over our words, or maybe a sneer in the dark last night. Do you really want to be exposed as thugs who disappear men on their way to work? Elwyn said. A shrugging reply. Interfering with security measures will bring prison on your head. I could blow up this place, or you could, or anyone desperate enough to turn terrorist. But going through metal detectors with hidden explosives wouldn't even make the considerations list. More peace monitors came to our rescue at this incident in the making. The Israeli army's word against ours is too much for the faking. 5 minutes later, 5 Palestinian men were released 2 hours late for work, and the commander gave Pastor and me one last chilling smirk. 3. Old Hebron sky, blue and high. Crisp November weather, what could be better? Olives on the trees, pick a handful, will you please? A goat herded past Ibrahimi Mosque, its feet have white socks. Buy a mouth-watering falafel pita from a Palestinian named Rita. Write a poem full of rhymes to stomach documenting these crimes. Call me Ishmael, in memoriam to Herman Melville. What if the black sheep carried a bucket of wisdom to the wellspring and purified the water by the act of pouring it in? Everyone who stayed behind white picket fences calling out, "Heathen, heretic, come back here," as the member of the woolly tribe saves them, if only in a tiny cranny of their minds and despite their frozen shoes. Inside that magazine, while in the waiting room, silver blanket sky knotted and never contained, holds at bay every manifesto for feverish spandex, unfurled at the bandshell of black jade, Bork on stage in a peasant dress and shackles. The prisoners are not the ones behind steel bars. Fish are underwater. Fish are underwater. I can only see them with snorkel gear on. All there is nearby is a locket absent any chain. Freed slaves in captivity are not connect dots. Water rushing through the dream stalker's fortnight of low-hanging fruit and snug underwear. The middle finger gets heavy on this one key. Over and over, dystopian novels miss roses. Roses, roses, roses. Please, some roses. Flamingos appropriated before the Everglades got lost to Anita Bryant and the clodhoppers of buttered toast and not tattooed forearms. Clean as a whistle use of sawdust pellets for absorbing moisture in the compost bin. Pale, pale, paw, pow, 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 paw, paw. Drum beats without a saxophone. Never move your almond eyes off mine. Or the loneliness of that one and only moment, jasmine wafted like flying lace butterflies, the corpses of Muammar al-Gaddafi and Helen Keller finally parted from any form of dark sunglasses. We know why, but forget before the Woodbine rented the bungalow from a noodle vendor, or a clown that never made anyone cry just sat there in the lotus position hoping Janis Joplin was still alive, her pain or something else entirely, reordering all the words. Until passion matters more than thought. The white female cop killed the black man in his own apartment just because a huckleberry never got plucked from the window washer's voyeurism of selected kidney beans and phonies. Always direct your attention over way behind the rostrum and watch tiny bubbles erase all fear. A blow stick move gently through the air singing fa la 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 into Clark Kent's herringbone sweater. Grit Bliss. Grit is the word for what was needed most. The chip pressed between fingers to imbue grit. Not able to be crushed, even if smashed down underfoot, the mangled and forgotten soul child. The boy in the basement, famished in every way, alive like mushrooms grow, fungi not to be denied. Even in the darkest regions, so long down here the craziness shifts between his little open hand and closed fist. A lift up onto feet or hard blow knockdown, destruction or creation on the whim of beasts and angels. The lone window greasy with sweat and tears and oil of my little greasy face, press against it, me looking outside at chaos and cruelty. Love so sweet it could give you diabetes. All of it a grist mill for making grit, all of it shifting on the whim of beasts and angels. To walk down the stairs and be met with knives or tears, to bring a good meal and another, to dodge the blade for grit love, to wait and wait and wait and wait until we can walk outside under the cover of darkness and favorably dim moonbeams, to swing on a rusty old swing set, to return again and again, no, to never leave this boy alone for as much as a moment again, to taste the grit, to become grit together, to turn for the window, to gaze out on two red-tailed hawks. Do you suppose they need each other to know bliss? Like Marlon Brando, in the memory of my father, Carl Grossman. Jet black hair swept back, letting your widow's peak speak for itself. Those full, smooth-skinned cheeks hint at vitality and a pinch of delicious overindulgence. But for those ice blue eyes that saw sadness, yet danced with glints of mischievous plans, to take it all on for some kind of transcendence. The Cuban cigar pressed between your sure lips, your profile cut through daylight as well as darkness. Singing the song of a young man returned from war, separated from New England, found in Texas, determined to go forward with a woman, this Scotch-Irish redhead who would bear him 2 sons, me, the baby boy many years later who felt Brando but never quite saw him until given this old black and white photo at a family reunion in Canton, where something like togetherness stitched the torn fabric of my father, who carried panache and hate and love. Orphans. Crows fly out of a black man's neck toward the beauty of night sky, burnt with rage. Doves too white and pure for bringing peace perch among the branches of lynching trees. Even what has long been projected onto these species carries the reek of racist supremacy. Way off in the corner of some alleyway, trash-strewn and graffiti-marked with neglect and honesty, there has to be, a young girl and boy who feed the birds from just this one mostly used-up sack of seed they found in the dumpster while hoping to satiate their own hunger. But instead, channel out of sunken stomachs and still beating hearts, Rosa Parks, Rosa Luxemburg, MLK, Malcolm X, the truth of a gentle giant named George Floyd, into the throbbing streets. Peace. Apes in trees have more than apes in suits. We could use some evolution. For our savaged souls, the writing is balm, each letter a stitch in the only soft blanket left, the red and cream one with lassos and cowboys on ponies of my youth. What it is about this matrimony, to be swept along in a freshet, to bring the secret rock out of your pocket and set it a-tremble between the two of you without making another move. To walk your elephant into the room with hers. To send the minders away, not before borrowing their staffs. To drink until satiated from cool and clear headwaters. To allow the bird down inside your shirt and wait on a peak above your collar in kissing its hooked beak. To make U-turns over and again instead of reaching the open window. To choose the dark path alone so the other may also see without light. To bring your fear amid the tender and lusty bed for sculpting peace. To bring your peace amid the tender and lusty bed for throwing sheets off fear. To lie for hours in each other's curves, letting silence and breaths bind. To harbor all fugitives. To bring daisies for the ends of blue steel barrels even as you put the guns down. To become together until you both are something else. To keep dear that one tarnished aspect that is never left. To live whatever this is like a whisper in the palms of your hands.